Hi, Celina. Thank you so much for coming in today. My name is Jamie Berg, and I am the special education instructor here at Clovis Intermediate School, and I'm excited to get this interview started.
Hi, it's nice to meet you. Thanks for having me.
Could you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Okay, I grew up in a small town in Texas, and then I went to West Texas A&M and did my undergrad there, and then I went to Eastern New Mexico to do my graduate study for speech therapy. And in between that time, between grad school and undergrad, I worked as an SLPA at a clinic for autistic children, and it also served as a private school that the special needs kids could go to, and they got therapy throughout the day during their school day, and then their parents came to pick them up. And then the clinic was also for other patients and clients that we would see throughout the day, and then it extended past school hours as well. And I really enjoyed my experience there because it helped me realize I really loved working with kids, and especially the special needs population, which I also got involved with Special Olympics um, as a coach, and I ended up becoming on the board for Region 16. And I really enjoyed my time, and I love uh, the special needs population.
That's wonderful. That's really great that you did so many wonderful things within your community. If you are employed here at Clovis Intermediate School, where do you think you'd like to be in your career 5 years from now?
I would still like to be here at the same job because I really like building connections and relationships with people. And I feel like if you establish, if you're just there for a year or two, you don't really get to build as many connections, but you get to build those long-term connections and relationships and from other people and your students. They know you're going to be there for them. They know what to expect from you, and they know that you're there to help them and that you're not going anywhere.
That's
I think
wonderful.
consistency in kids is really good.
Yeah, I agree. That's wonderful to hear. I think you're correct. I think the kids and the parents do really like to have that consistency with their speech therapist. Can you give me an example of a time that you feel you went above and beyond the call of duty at work?
Um, in my undergraduate studies, I had a part-time job selling tickets at athletic events. And in my senior year, my last year of studying, the ticket office manager left in the without notice, and the athletic director it was in a tight squeeze because he didn't have anybody, and there's games throughout the entire year. And I had been there the longest, and so I stepped up and I started managing schedules, payments, games, money, tickets, printing all the tickets for the games, and I just stepped up to be in charge of the role that he left behind, even though I was still a student. So that was a very kind of a different experience because I was a student performing a job that somebody else should have been doing, but I really enjoyed it, and I learned in myself that I do have managing skills because I'm kind of a quiet person, but I was able to step up and build connections with people, schedules, and administration trusted me to do that. So I felt very honored that they trusted me and had confidence that I would get the job done.
And I'm sure they really appreciated having you step up to that position. That's great. Could you provide an example of what the most difficult period has been in your life and how you dealt with it?
I don't know that I've had like an extremely difficult situation. But I would think the most challenging situation in my life has definitely been grad school because it requires a lot of your time, a lot of hard work. And for me, my graduate studies, I've had to move 4 different times. And so it really just keeps me on my toes. And I've really had to learn how to keep a schedule, make a schedule, get things done, timelines. lots of paperwork, lots of studying on top of that. And studying is its own job, kind of. And I've also worked through grad school, so I would think just balancing everything is the most important thing that that I've been learning from grad school.
I remember those days of graduate school and working, and I know how daunting it can be, so it is quite an accomplishment. For this position and money, what salary are you seeking?
Um, I've done some research about the starting salary for a SNF here in this area, and I think anywhere between 50 and 58,000 as a salary with medical benefits would be appropriate. But I would kind of ask for about 54.
Okay. And in relation to your salary, what is your salary history?
As an SLPA, I started off at $15 an hour, and currently I'm at $22 an hour. So I feel like the 54 would be an increase based on my qualifications in becoming a certified speech therapist.
Great, great. How do you want to improve yourself in the next year?
I would like to improve my confidence because I know everything that I need to know, or not, I don't know everything I need to know, but I know the things required of the job. I know how to deal with students. I know how to deal with their articulation or language or whatever they're needing help with. But sometimes I don't feel confident in myself. Like, what if I'm doing the wrong thing? Which I know I'm not doing the wrong thing. I just need to have that boost of confidence in myself to know I'm able to do it.
Great. If you were to get this job, what kind of goals would you have in mind?
I would like to work with, collaborate with the teachers to help my students in their speech therapy goals. So, whatever they're doing in the classroom, I'd like it to incorporate it in speech therapy because I know it's easy just to say, oh, this kid or student has a expressive language disorder. I'm going to work on expressive language stuff, my own stuff. But if I can incorporate whatever he's doing in the classroom, it benefits him more to have the material throughout the day instead of new material in the classroom and new material in speech therapy. So I think that would be one of my main goals is to collaborate with the teachers. Another one would be organization with schedules and as well as the teachers and periods of the classes they want to be pulled out, or if I'm not pulling out going into the classroom. So those would be my top two goals is kind of both with teachers, but one benefiting the student and one benefiting my relationship with the teacher.
As the special education instructor here, I can tell you that we do appreciate having that type of relationship with our speech therapists, working together as a team. How long do you think it would take for you to make a significant contribution in this job if hired?
I think it starts with your first session. You really need to build your rapport with the student, letting them know that you're there to help them. You're here, you're always going to be there, and you're there kind of if they ever need anything, just building that foundation of a relationship that you're going to be there, and then letting them know what you can provide for them, and then also letting them know what you need from them as a student to make it an impact and to progress and to not be in speech therapy forever. But I really think it takes about from the first session to about 2 weeks to really build that connection with them to be able to make that contribution to improve their speech in whatever area that they're needing.
Okay, so along the lines of that and making that significant contribution, what do you see yourself doing then farther out from that the initial significant contribution. What do you see yourself doing within the first 30 days if you're hired in this position?
Um, it kind of builds on my goals too. Building rapport with the students and the teachers, I think, is very important. And also being open-minded. Like I may have my way of doing things, but realizing that there's 20 plus teachers in this school that also have a way and do know the students better than I do because they've been with them longer. But really being able to be open-minded and adjust to the students and the teachers and administration based on what they want me to do. So I would say most importantly is just building the rapport with the students and letting them know what their speech goals are and how we can work towards their goal.
Wonderful, wonderful. To learn a little bit more about you, could you tell me about your proudest achievement?
My proudest achievement, I think, would be I finished my undergraduate studies in 3 years and also finished high school early. So I was going into college as an 18-year-old. Like I had my 18th birthday in my first semester of college. So most 18-year-olds aren't thinking about school kind of like I was set on school. I wanted to finish in 3 years. So when I was 18 and 19, I spent most of my time in the library studying because I was taking 22 hours in a semester. So it took a lot of discipline on my part to get that accomplished. But I think it helped me. I know it helped me get into grad school. Excuse me, because I knew how to work hard, I knew how to be disciplined, and I knew how to be disciplined for something that I loved studying. So it really wasn't too hard because I loved everything that I was learning. But finishing my undergrad in 3 years was a pretty good, big accomplishment for me. I was proud of myself for doing that.
That is really an amazing accomplishment, and that is definitely something to be proud of. Could you give me an example of ideas or things that you've implemented?
Um, I think the biggest thing I implement is making my own therapy materials for students because it's very easy to like buy a game or something, but sometimes you can't generalize a game to the student's needs. So I like to kind of start off with something general and see what they're really struggling with. And then I usually like to make materials, make flashcards, make a game or a sensory game to help that student progress in their goals.
Great. Creativity really is key in this field. So that's wonderful to hear. The final two questions I have for you are a little bit out of the box. These are brain teaser questions. So I invite you to get a little creative with your answers. If you were an animal, which animal would you want to be?
I would like to be an elephant if I were an animal because I feel like elephants have a very big presence without necessarily being loud, even though they can be loud when needed. And I feel like people respect elephants in a way, or other animals respect elephants because they're known to have wisdom and they're kind of calming and very majestic animals. So I think I would like to be an elephant just to have that big presence without having to, people know to respect you or what you've shown them, they are able to respect you and because of your knowledge and wisdom. And I think that would be important as a speech therapist that people respect you and know that you're knowledgeable in speech and that you know what you're doing. They can trust you.
Yeah, great. Okay, last question for you, another little silly question. If you could choose one superhero power, what would it be and why?
I would choose probably to be invisible because it'd be interesting to see what people are doing when they don't think you're there. And I'm kind of a quiet person in general, so I don't think it'd be that much of a difference, but it'd just be kind of neat to see what's happening when people don't think you're there, or what your students see what they're doing without them knowing that you're there. I think I would choose to be invisible.
That's clever. That's one way to check up on the students and see if what they're learning in therapy is carrying over to the classroom.
Yes.
Well, Celina, thank you so much for coming today. It was a pleasure to meet you, and we will be in touch.
All right. Thank you for your time. I appreciate the opportunity.